No sound of rolling suitcases echoing on tiled floors. No kids yelling excitedly, "Mom, where's Disney?" Not even the familiar boarding announcements over the loudspeakers. Just a silence, chilling and still. And the strange part is, this isn't some abandoned airport. It's the middle of summer right in the heart of America. What on earth is happening to the United States? Summer 2025? This should have been the season, when waves of international tourists flood into America, arms full, eyes sparkling with dreams of the American experience. New York should be glowing with millions of selfies taken at Times Square. Los Angeles should be packed with tickets to Universal, and Hollywood selling out, and Orlando echoing with children's laughter at the sight of Disney's castle for the very first time. But instead, it's empty seats, canceled flights on departure boards, and ticket counters with no lines. There's no pandemic, no flight bans, no war, just a quiet retreat and no one saying a word. What's going on? There's no virus making a comeback, no snowstorms, no toxic leaks or security incidents. Yet over 3 million international travelers from Canada, the UK, France, Germany have quietly canceled their trips to America. No warnings, no public outrage, no trending hashtags flooding social media. They just stopped coming. No goodbyes, no explanations. But if you ask them, the answer is heartbreakingly simple: I don't feel safe. America doesn't feel as welcoming as it used to. I'm not paying thousands of dollars to feel anxious. This isn't just a tourism issue anymore, it's a trust issue. When one destination is skipped, they call it a trend. But when 15 major U.S. airports all fall eerily silent at once, that's called a warning. If JFK, America's main gateway, is drowned in silence, how many smaller airports are quietly fading into darkness? And if America's closest friends like Canada are starting to turn away, then who's next? 1. JFK, New York, the gateway to America. And a goodbye left unspoken. JFK, 3 letters known around the globe as the gateway to the American dream. Day after day, hour after hour, this airport once welcomed thousands from every continent, arms clutching dreams, hands gripping luggage, eyes looking up at the sky of freedom. But today, as I walked through its icy glass doors, I heard the sound of my own footsteps. A sound once mundane, now an eerie echo in a city no longer expecting anyone. No more boarding calls over the PA. No more wide-eyed wonder from first-time visitors to American soil. Only silence, bone deep and unsettling. In 2025, New York is projected to lose over 3 million international travelers. That's more than 25 billion quietly vanishing from the city's economy. No noise, no alerts, no breaking news, no sensational headlines, no bold letters screaming tourism is bleeding, just a silent goodbye. Picture this: no reservations at Le Bernardin, the 3-star Michelin gem in the heart of Manhattan. No more long lines outside the Guggenheim. No laughing tourists strolling down Fifth Avenue, arms full of designer shopping bags. A woman from the UK, who once flew to New York every other year to catch Broadway shows, shared, "I didn't cancel because I was scared. I canceled because it didn't feel like America wanted me there anymore." I don't think anyone left out of hatred for America. They backed away because it no longer felt like a place they belonged. Not because the U.S. has changed completely, but because there were no signs saying they were still welcome. The silence at JFK isn't just a story about an airport. It's a mirror reflecting the fractured relationship between America and the rest of the world. When a nation that once stood as a beacon of hope becomes a forgotten pit stop, maybe the alarm we need to sound isn't about airports. It's about the heart of connection, which was once what made America great. 2. LAX, Los Angeles, when sunshine isn't enough to warm. The heart Los Angeles, the city of cinematic dreams. Golden beaches, a place where the sun seems to never set. And LAX once dubbed America's first red carpet, where every minute, a celebrity, a business traveler, a tourist from across the world would touch down. But in the summer of 2025, that airport feels eerily empty every few minutes. Another international flight gets canceled, not because of storms, not because of protests, just simply not enough people are flying. The Toronto-Los Angeles route, one of the busiest in North America, has dropped to 24% of its former capacity. That's a 76% plunge, not just a few cuts for cost saving. It's a collapse of trust. Canadians, historically America's warmest, most reliable visitors, are now choosing to stay home. Why? Because the Canadian government issued travel advisories to the U.S., citing concerns over gun violence and social instability. The weak Canadian dollar has made everything in LA feel absurdly overpriced. And above all, there's a chilling sense of, I just don't feel safe there anymore. One Canadian businessman who used to take his whole family to LA every summer shared. Hotel prices in Santa Monica are 40% higher than before the pandemic. Service is worse, him not spending thousands of dollars to feel uncomfortable. As someone who's flown into LAX nearly 10 times in the last 5 years, I get why they used to call this place California dreaming, but today, that dream just isn't strong enough to overcome the fear. The airport still has sunshine, but sunshine doesn't ease fear. And trust once broken can't be fixed with a check-in clerk's smile. LX used to be the place where dreams began. Now, it's where journeys end before they even take off. 3. Orlando Disney World, when childhood dreams come with a price tag. Orlando, the city crowned the capital of childhood, where millions of kids from all over the world once shouted, I want to go there. I want to meet Mickey, meet Elsa, meet things that only exist in dreams. And parents once kids themselves did whatever it took to make that dream come true. But in the summer of 2025, that dream is being priced out. You might not believe it, but on many days in June and July, tickets to Disney World are still unsold. Orlando International Airport reported its worst drop in international traffic in over a decade. Right in the middle of peak summer travel season, a single mother from Texas shared, I promised my 7-year-old son, if you behave, this summer we'll go to Disney. The boy studied hard, behaved well. But when she looked at the cost breakdown, airfare $200 for 2 people. Disney Resort Hotel $900 for 3 nights. Park tickets and food over $700. I told him Disney was under renovation. I didn't have the courage to say the truth. Mom can't afford nearly 3. I used to believe a trip to Disney was a childhood reward, but now it's become an adult's burden. Thousands of families used to come here every summer. They went home with glowing smiles in their photos, Mickey ears on their heads. But this year, part of that memory won't be recreated. And just like that, a summer lost, a promise postponed. A dream frozen in a spreadsheet. Disney World is still open. The music still plays. The castle still lights up under the fireworks. But the smiles now belong only to those who can afford them. If children deserve a reward for trying hard, and that reward is beyond what their parents can give, then the question is no longer, when are we going to Disney? But rather, is there still room for us in the American dream? 4. Las Vegas McCarran Airport, when the city of lights is. Forgotten Las Vegas, once called the city that never sleeps, where neon lights blaze through the night, where every road leads to a casino, where people don't just come to play, they come to feel alive. And McCarran Airport, the strangest welcome gate in America, where every landing whispers, live to the fullest, because this is Vegas. But in the summer of 2025, McCarran suddenly feels like a slot machine unplugged. No more long lines of suitcase-toting travelers, no more limo horns blaring, no more crowds snapping photos under the iconic Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. In Q2 of 2025 alone, visitor numbers to Vegas dropped by 8%, meaning hundreds of thousands vanished from the casino floors. Casino revenues dropped over 5%, and what came next? Restaurants closing early, gift shops cutting staff, shows canceled due to too many empty seats, and strangely, no one's complaining. No one's pointing fingers because deep down it all makes sense. A single mother from Vancouver, who used to call Las Vegas her annual self-reward, shared, Vegas used to make me feel free, but this year I didn't buy the ticket. I don't feel like America welcomes me anymore. I used to step out of McCarran with spotlights in my eyes and my heart pounding, like I was entering another world. But if the lights still shine, the stage still stands, and there's no audience, then it's no longer a stage. Las Vegas was once known as the place where anything could happen. But right now the only surprise is silence is winning. When a city survives on emotion, but emotion gets replaced by doubt, high costs and fear, then the real question isn't, are people still going to Vegas? It's, is Vegas still Vegas? 5. Denver. The beating heart of America is slowing. Down Denver, once called the crossroads of America, a massive hub that connected east to west, north to south, a place where almost every long-distance trip stopped at least once. But in the summer of 2025, that heart has started to beat slower. For the first time since the pandemic, Denver Airport saw passenger numbers drop for 3 consecutive quarters. Not because of flight bans, not because of snowstorms. Just simply Americans no longer want to fly. Sounds strange, doesn't it? Even Americans are retreating from their own skies. Domestic ticket prices are up 26% compared to last year. Flight cancellations and delays are up more than 18%. Airlines are cutting non-profitable routes. Travelers are turning to driving 12 hours on the road, instead of 2 hours in the air with lost bags, delays, and no apologies. An IT employee from Phoenix who used to fly to Chicago twice a month shared, "I no longer trust domestic airlines. The last time my flight got canceled, no one said a thing. The time before that, my luggage disappeared for 3 days. I wasn't angry. I just felt abandoned. I used to think Denver Airport is the artery, but now it feels like an abandoned gas station, a place you stop only to find another way. A system once built to connect a whole country is now being left behind by its own people. When even Americans no longer believe in taking flight, how can the world trust American wings with their dreams?" 6. Seattle-Tacoma Airport. When technology can't bring the world back. Seattle, a city where tech meets nature, the birthplace of global giants like Microsoft and Amazon, and Seattle-Tacoma International, once the busiest gateway in the Pacific Northwest, and Seattle-Tacoma International, once the busiest gateway in the Pacific Northwest, a yearly gathering point for thousands of engineers, investors, and innovators from Japan, Korea, Singapore, London. But in summer 2025, the suitcases are gone. The curious eyes of innovators nowhere to be seen. Flights from Asia, once booked solid months in advance, now show rows of empty seats. The airport feels like a transfer station left behind in the fog. Seattle fell out of the top 10 Asian gateway airports for the first time in 15 years. Tech conferences once held here have now moved entirely to Singapore, Hong Kong, or Vancouver. International travelers no longer choose Seattle like they used to. A Japanese engineer who used to visit Seattle 3 times a year said, "We love Seattle, but the costs are too high now. Hotels are expensive, sales taxes are steep, and around the airport too many homeless people. We no longer feel safe." A tech city built to lead the future is now falling behind because it can't hold on to present-day trust. Seattle, once inviting the world with brilliance and invention, now stands forgotten in a fog of doubt. The real question isn't when will the tourists come back? It's, is there still a reason for them to return? 7. Boston Logan International Airport. When the city of knowledge loses its global students. Boston, a city of intellect and freedom. A place where international students once came to learn, to explore, and to find opportunities to change their lives. And Logan International Airport, the gateway to a city famed for Harvard, MIT, and other great institutions, once welcomed thousands of students, scholars, and professionals from all over the world. But in the summer of 2025, Logan International is no longer where the world's next generation arrives. International student numbers have plummeted, exchange programs, scholarships, most have been cut or moved elsewhere. A 30% drop in students coming to Boston from countries like India, China, and South Korea, nations with long-standing academic ties to the U.S. Student visa applications are down 40% compared to last year. Educational institutions are facing major losses in revenue from international tuition programs. A student from India who had studied at MIT for 2 years said, "I used to see America as the land of all opportunities, but now it's hard to believe the value matches the skyrocketing costs." Boston has always been known as a home for knowledge, a place where people come to change the world. But when the barriers to learning and growth become too high, the U.S. is no longer the only option. My feeling as I walked through Logan wasn't just the end of a trip, it was the silence of a system no longer evolving. A city once proud of its intellect is now facing the sorrow of absence. The question is, if the next generation doesn't come, who will carry on the pursuit of knowledge? 8. Salt Lake City International. When a peaceful city becomes a quiet spot in America's tourism map, Salt Lake City, a peaceful town nestled among snowy mountains, known for its stunning winter resorts, and Salt Lake City International Airport, the gateway to one of the most breathtaking natural regions in America, with its unique saltwater lakes and ski destinations. But in 2025, Salt Lake City is one of the airports most affected by the decline in both international and domestic travel. Not because of crisis, not because of disease, simply because people have stopped coming. International flights have dwindled now, just a few. Sparse routes from places like Canada and Mexico. A 40% drop in international visitors from the previous year, with some domestic routes from Los Angeles and Denver being cut. Flights are decreasing rapidly due to high costs and too few passengers to keep them running. In a city where the farthest trip used to be to a nearby ski resort, Now only empty seats remain in the terminal. But it's not just international travelers who've stopped coming. Even domestic flights are going quiet, a local resident shared. We used to have lots of flights in and out from major cities, but now, every time I go to the airport, it feels like a place that's been forgotten. Salt Lake City was once the gateway to a peaceful escape from big city chaos. But now, as flights get canceled and visitors disappear, the city feels like a vacation with no guests. 9. Charlotte Douglas International. When the Southern Connector becomes a silent, Terminal Charlotte, a southern city known as a financial hub, and a key transit point linking America's east and west coasts, Charlotte Douglas International Airport, one of the busiest in the South, handling millions of passengers each year, and serving both tourists and domestic travelers. But in 2025, Charlotte is struggling to maintain that role. Instead of being a hub, the airport is starting to feel like a quiet bus station. Flights from New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles have been reduced. Routes are redirected, direct flights are fewer, and locals are choosing to drive instead of fly, a 20% drop in domestic passenger traffic compared to the previous year. Many airlines have pulled out of Charlotte, moving routes to Atlanta, Dallas, or Miami where costs are lower. Services like restaurants and souvenir shops have reduced hours, not enough passengers to stay open full-time, an airport employee shared. I used to see long lines of people waiting for flights, but now, in the evenings, it's just darkness and empty chairs. People aren't flying anymore. They're choosing other ways to travel. Charlotte, once a meeting point of dreams, now feels like a quiet intersection, where no paths cross anymore. It doesn't lack flights, but it lacks connection. Connection doesn't just come from planes, it comes from belief in the future. And when that belief is gone, airports like Charlotte start to lose their travelers. When an airport is no longer bustling, when its doors no longer open to welcome dreams, then who will believe it's the next destination? 10. Honolulu, Daniel K. Inouye International. When paradise becomes a deserted island, Honolulu, a tropical paradise, where soft white sand, crystal clear waters, and gentle waves once drew travelers from across the globe. Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, Hawaii's international gateway, where millions from Japan, South Korea, and across Asia once began their journey into America. But now, Honolulu is no longer the paradise it used to be. Flights from Tokyo, Seoul, and Taipei, Hawaii's critical air connections have dropped sharply. The few flights that remain, just a trickle of passengers. International visitor numbers are down more than 36% compared to pre-pandemic levels. Flights from Japan are at their lowest in over 30 years, even lower than during the 2008 financial crisis. Tourism revenue has dropped by over $3 billion in the last 12 months. A Japanese traveler shared, "Hawaii was our dream destination. But with rising prices and concerns about safety, I don't feel comfortable bringing my family anymore." Hawaii, once called the jewel of the Pacific, where every trip felt like a gift, now feels like a vacation no one wants. For over 30 years, Japan has sent the most tourists to Hawaii, but this year, it's no longer their top pick. Empty beaches, closed doors, and anyone can feel the shift in the air. 11. Phoenix Sky Harbor. When the city of the sun loses its light. Phoenix, the city of the sun, where people came to escape the icy winters of Canada, where wide desert landscapes and clear blue skies never ran out of sunshine. Sky Harbor International Airport, Phoenix Central Airport, welcoming millions of visitors every year, especially from Canada and North America. But the summer of 2025 tells a different story. Flights from Canada, once the lifeline of Phoenix, have dropped by nearly 70% in capacity. Winter flights, when Canadian tourists traditionally vacationed in the warmth, are now just a handful of scattered routes. A 70% drop in flights from cities like Toronto and Vancouver to Phoenix. Declines from Asia and Latin America have also made the airport quieter. A group of Canadian tourists shared, "Phoenix used to be our favorite spot every winter, but now, the costs here are just too high. Especially healthcare, we don't want to take that risk." Phoenix, a city that once felt like home to Canadians every winter, now feels like an abandoned resort. Popular destinations like the Grand Canyon and luxury resorts no longer carry the same energy. This shift wasn't caused by war or disaster. It's a change brought on by unease over costs, over service quality, over things you can't see but can definitely feel. Phoenix used to be the perfect escape from the cold, but now it's become a quiet place no one is racing to visit. And when even those who once called it their second home have turned away, the real question becomes, Is Phoenix still the city of light? 12. Denver International when America's transportation hub is left. In silence, Denver, a city at America's heart, once the main transportation connector between East and West, where domestic flights pass through daily. Denver International Airport, the gateway to a bustling city, where planes crossed wide skies, linking dreams of work, travel, and new beginnings. But in the summer of 2025, Denver is changing. For the first time since the pandemic, Denver has seen a sharp decline in passengers. A 20% drop in domestic passengers compared to the same time last year. Flight cancellations are up 18%, causing major disruptions. Flights that once routed through Denver are now canceled or redirected due to lack of passengers. A local resident shared, "I've lived in Denver for 10 years, and this airport was always busy, but now I don't see the crowds anymore. It's like people are trying to avoid Denver." Denver used to be the beating heart of domestic travel. Any long journey, whether from New York to Los Angeles or Chicago to Dallas, often passed through here. But today, the airport feels like a stopover no one wants to make. Flights canceled, services disrupted, and even the city's own people are turning their backs on the airport. When Americans themselves no longer want to fly, Denver, once a bustling hub, is now just an airport that no longer pulses with life. When doors that once opened wide to welcome people from everywhere now remain closed. The big question is, can Denver still claim its place as the nation's central transportation hub? 3. Seattle-Tacoma International. When the city of innovation is forgotten, Seattle, a city of innovation and reinvention, where brilliant minds from around the world came to work at tech giants like Microsoft and Amazon. Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, the largest international airport in the Pacific Northwest, once welcomed global travelers and tech professionals searching for opportunity and knowledge. But in 2025, a new story is unfolding. Seattle is no longer the attractive destination it once was. Flights from Tokyo, Seoul, and London, once always full, now show rows of empty seats. No more long lines of passengers. No more electric energy from tech-savvy tourists. A 15% drop in international arrivals compared to last year. Flights from Asia are down 30%. And major tech conferences have relocated to Singapore or Vancouver. A software engineer from Japan shared, "Seattle used to be our go-to city for annual conferences, but this year, we chose Singapore. Costs in Seattle are too high, the service isn't the same, and there are growing safety concerns around the airport." Seattle, once the hub of innovation and forward thinking, is starting to fade in the eyes of those who once called it a global tech center. The real concern isn't just declining tourism. It's the quiet disappearance of a city, once defined by creative energy and ambition. Seattle is no longer the place where innovators want to gather and grow. When innovation is no longer welcomed, can Seattle still hold its title as a technology capital? Can it still attract the brightest minds from around the world? 14. Boston Logan International. When the capital of knowledge loses its global students, Boston, America's capital of learning, where the historic buildings of Harvard, MIT, and other prestigious universities have shaped the world's greatest minds. Logan International Airport, the entry point to a city rooted in educational excellence, once welcomed thousands of international students each year, arriving from every corner of the globe to learn and grow. But in 2025, Logan isn't welcoming like it once did. Why? It's not because Boston has lost its appeal. It's because international students are no longer choosing America as their destination. Student numbers are down 30% from last year, particularly from countries like China, India, and South Korea. Scholarship and exchange programs have been cut or shifted to places like Canada, Australia, and across Europe. A student from India who has studied at MIT for 3 years shared, "I chose MIT to learn from the greatest minds, but now, with high tuition and strict visa rules, I'm not sure I'll stay much longer." Boston has long been known as a capital of intellect, a city where brilliant minds come to make history. But as studying in America becomes too expensive and difficult due to policy changes, international students, the fresh energy of American education, are looking elsewhere. Logan, once a portal for young intellects, is now just a quiet checkpoint. When studying abroad is no longer an option, the question becomes, can Boston still hold its place in the global world of knowledge? 15. Salt Lake City International. When a peaceful city turns into a deserted place. Salt Lake City, a peaceful city known for relaxing getaways and vast natural landscapes, a destination for lovers of snowy winters and untouched desert beauty. Salt Lake City International Airport, the main international hub of Utah, connecting the city to destinations across the U.S. and the world. But in 2025, this airport is no longer as busy as it once was. International flights have dropped dramatically. Domestic flights from Los Angeles, Denver, and Seattle have also been cut due to a lack of passengers. What happened? A 40% decrease in international travelers to Salt Lake City compared to last year. A 25% drop in domestic routes, especially flights with low demand. A local resident shared, "Salt Lake used to be my go-to connection whenever I flew from east to west. But now I don't even see flights during peak hours anymore." People are choosing to drive instead of fly. Salt Lake City, the city of calm, where people once came to unwind and escape the noise of the world. But when travelers stop coming, when flights are canceled, and passengers no longer believe in connection, Salt Lake City starts to feel like a forgotten place. When a peaceful city loses its link to the outside world, when no one thinks of it as a retreat anymore, the question becomes, will Salt Lake City still be a destination for winter vacations? America, a nation once seen as a symbol of freedom, opportunity, and hope. From these airports, people from across the globe came searching for a new future. But now, these legendary airports from JFK and LAX to Orlando are becoming symbols of silence. Why? Are we witnessing the unraveling of the American dream? Or are we simply living in a new era, where what once drew the world in no longer holds its appeal? But the bigger question still remains, can America regain the trust of the travelers who have turned away? So what do you think about everything that's happening? Are we watching the slow decline of a nation that was once the shining star on the world's travel map? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below this video. Let's open up this conversation and explore together why these airports are slowly being left behind. If you found this video engaging and want to follow more stories about the world in transition, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and we hope to continue this journey together. Goodbye, and see you next time.